You said you're going to start us off, so go for it.
You just want me to start off, so I say one thing, and then you can talk the rest of the time, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, good to know. Yes, I had dental surgery, so I look like I have a mouthful of acorns stuffed in my mouth. I think the squirrel mafia is coming to get me.
Well, it's like the Robin Hood Men in Tights, where the the Don has like a bunch of like gauze in his mouth.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh man,
That's a movie I need to rewatch.
I would advise you doing that. Did you know I was actually I was doing some research for something I'm working on. There was a Dragonlance. It's a cartoon movie. It exists.
What?
I have it.
I haven't seen that.
It is awful.
Wait. Wait, on a scale of like the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon show to like the 2000 movie Dungeons and Dragons featuring Jeremy Irons, which is the pinnacle of fantasy cinema. Where does it rate? And I'll say like Aragon, that awful movie's like somewhere in the middle.
I'll put it in terms of that you can understand. And this is not my ranking. This would be your ranking. It's below Willow.
Wow, that's even worse than the TV show.
Exactly. And I don't know what your hate is for Willow, but the best part about it that I saw is the person who voices, what's the evil wizard's brother's name? Starts with an R.
I don't know who you're talking about.
And Dragonlance, the series.
Oh.
There was the.
Oh, you're talking about Raceland?
Raceland, yes.
Yes, and his brother Cameron or something like that.
It's perfect. The voicing is perfect. Now it's Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh, okay.
So
I'll act like I know who that is as I quickly Google search him.
Remember the TV show 24 Hours?
I never watched it.
He basically went into a deep, insane spiral like Charlie Sheen, doing a lot of coke and getting in a lot of trouble. I think he's better now. I always liked him as an actor.
Yeah, I'm looking through his movies. I don't think I've seen any of them. I've heard of them.
You've never seen Young Guns? Come on.
Nope, never seen it. Flatliners haven't seen. Lost Boys haven't seen. Designated Survivor haven't seen.
You haven't seen Lost Boys? Dude, Lost Boys was like a momentous movie.
It came out 5 years before I was born. I don't know what you want from me.
I hate you.
Yeah, I mean, what was that, like late college for you?
Shut up. No, I think it was still high school, maybe. When did it come out?
1987.
Yeah, I was a junior.
Oh, hey, he was in Three Musketeers. I don't know who he played.
Yeah, but so was what's his name that played Robin in Batman and Robin? O'Donnell.
I have seen the Three Musketeers because Tim Curry is the best, and that's all I remember from that movie.
He is.
But we're already progressing.
All right, let's move on.
Chris, we don't have a new release to talk about today. Instead, we're just going to talk about some of the fun news coming out around the time that we're recording this, and then we'll jump in and talk about a little bit more about the Ranger. We just released the deep dive on the Ranger, which covered it from original Dungeons and Dragons all the way up to 5th edition, and we could see that no one can ever agree on what the Ranger looks like.
So wait, before we get going, why don't we have anything new coming out? Why what are you, slacker? I mean, come on. You're the creative genius.
Well, next month
I bring you coffee.
We will. Next month we should have more to talk about in regards to what Dumpstead has put out, which has the holidays really screw up my planning. But the next part of the adventure for Farum will be released, so that'll be exciting, and I can stop stressing about that.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I did my part for that.
That's fair.
Hey, it was maps. It wasn't that hard comparatively.
All right. So the first thing we can talk about, Chris, I'm sure you've heard about this. The internet is afire.
Oh boy.
With this decision. So you know that there's the new bulk pack being released by WotC for January 25th, I believe it is.
For $169.95.
Yeah, that's too rich for my blood for 3 books and 2 of them that I already own, and a DM screen, which I already own a DM screen.
I do, but it's from 1E.
I think that counts.
It's so big. It's 2. You have to have 2 of them. There's so many tables and charts that you just use
that's
all
just
the time.
because Gygax was weird and wanted to have like as much like barriers between him and his players as possible, so then he wouldn't have to feel bad when he hurt them. He was also the one that would hide behind like file cabinets in another room and act like he was God.
Oh yeah, we're off to see the wizard.
So yes, the big 3 packs coming out. It's going to include Volo's guide it's Xanathar's guide to everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's Tasha's Cauldron of Everything thrown in there, which was just released a year ago. And then there's going to be Mordenkainen presents Monsters of the Multiverse.
Okay, before we go any farther, why does Mordenkainen get 2 books, yet there hasn't been Bigby yet?
Well, actually, you were just complaining. I was like, it was two episodes ago when we're going over the Draconomicon, where you're how come, we got Fizzband, we got Volos, how come we never get any love for Greyhawk? Chris, we have Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. We have Mordekainen's Monster of Tome of something. We have Mordenkainen presents Monsters of the Multiverse. You're
missing my point, and you know it.
I'm purposely avoiding your point and trying to make you feel bad for saying something.
Right, but still.
We have Greyhawk reference. Now, they're never going to go back to that boring world and make a campaign source book for it.
Well, that's the whole... Well, no. Well, well, that's part of the thing now where they're talking about segueing into 6E, whatever that's going to look like. They're, getting ready to release that, for the 50th anniversary?
Yeah, actually, it seems like there's been some kind of consensus on how we're going to talk about that. I've seen a lot of E50th or Edition 50. To celebrate the 50th anniversary, because that's also when they're going to do 5.5, 6E, 5.25, whatever you want to call it.
So they're going to call it E50?
Well, that's what
46 editions.
Well, no, that's what everyone else is calling it, is E50th, as in the 50th anniversary edition.
Yeah, see, my dog doesn't even agree. One of the things that I read about what they're doing when they adjust this edition is making it so freaking generic that they're opening it up so that you can use multiple worlds and that they may use multiple worlds. So maybe I'll get Greyhawk back and maybe you'll get Planescape. You never know.
I don't think you're getting Greyhawk back.
No.
Actually,
just because of some of the things going on right now,
to be fair, out of all the old worlds, Kryn from Dragonlance, there's Mystara, there's Greyhawk, there's, I'm blanking on the other one I can't think of. It was, second edition, Birthright. I can't remember what the world is. Oerth is Greyhawk. See, I know Greyhawk lore.
What's Dark Sun?
Dark Sun.
Shitty planet no one wants to live on.
I don't know. Is it Dune from the planet?
Or probably.
From the movie book Dune?
Yeah,
I can't remember what that one's called.
It's basically the planet Mercury. Everything sucks and it's hot.
I think that's Mars.
But no, I think they're giving themselves an opportunity to do this.
Yeah.
Mainly so they can probably sell more books.
But I would love if they divorced lore a little bit more from mechanics. We also play Pathfinder 2e, which is the lore of Galarian is tied to a lot of Pathfinder 2e mechanical kind of things, and which is fine. I can just ignore that, or just be merge it slightly into my own world. It's not a big deal, but I prefer it when it's a little bit more system neutral.
Yeah, I'm never taking any of those feats or lore bullshit that has to do. I don't want to read that much. I don't know enough about the Pathfinder world. Shit, I just figured out how spells work, and I'm a 6th level wizard. Let's not go there.
Out of all of the old school worlds I would like to see again, I think Mystara would be really cool, because it's a hollow sphere, and then there's a planet on the inside of the planet, and no one knows about the inner planet inside of Mystara.
It's where the lizard men live.
I think so.
It's based on real life.
Yeah, because there's dinosaurs and stuff inside of it, right?
Told you. Yeah. Nothing's going to be named Bigby because they hate Bigby. We already have the names.
Bigby already has his hand in there.
So, yeah. Anyways, moving on. So, the new Morty's book.
Yes. Mordenkainen presents Monsters of the Multiverse. You have to say the full
It's a lot of words. And my mouth hurts. I think it's bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out a positive spin to put on it, but really they're just rehashing all the same old crap?
Well, it's new stat blocks, readjusting old monsters that maybe underperformed or overperformed for their CR. They're fixing some of the spellcasting stuff, which, there's a lot of people that are annoyed by spellcasters because it's here's everything they can do. Now go resource 3 other books to find all their spells that they can cast. And it's poop. In which case, like 4E was great because everything that the monster could do was in the stat block. They didn't just list a bunch of powers or spells that they had access to. Everything was in the stat block that you needed. You didn't have to go reference some other thing, which was great. And then 5E went back to kind of like the 3E, 2E, 1E things where it's like, here's a long list of spells. Good luck.
No.
Enjoy flipping back and forth between books.
So you're bitching because you're a DM.
Weird.
I mean, I get it. They're prepping for, the new release coming up. I mean, this is to get their feet wet. It's basically an Unearthed Arcana that I have to pay $30 for.
No, you have to pay $169 for.
Well, I'm going to wait till May 17th.
Yes. Yeah, well, I mean, that's like the big news is now we know when, so before Monsters of the Multiverse wasn't going to be able to be sold individually and they never specified when you could buy it individually. Right. It was always going to be a 3-pack, and they were like, yeah, eventually later on the year you could buy it individually because they're really pushing that 3-pack for whatever reason.
Because it was originally supposed to come out before Christmas, and it was going to be a Christmas gift, and then COVID hit, and everybody has supply.
Well, I think COVID had already hit by the time.
Right, but supply chain issues got that pushed back.
So May 17th is now the official date when you can buy Monsters of the Multiverse by itself, which is also, weirdly enough, the same day that I'll buy it because I don't feel like spending that much money for 2 books I'm never going to use again in a single book just so I can reference monster stat blocks.
It's just, give me some new monsters. You know, I did an article this week on monsters that fell by the wayside, that I wish would come back. And it made me realize there are so many awesome monsters out there that they could just change. Just how they don't even have to use their brains. They can be like, oh, cool, Thought Eater. I have a stat block from 2E. I can convert that and just do that and come up with, I mean, this is the only edition that does not have a dedicated book that's another monster manual. I mean, or Fiend Folio. And don't tell me that Volos and don't tell me they have other shit.
I want to point out, original Dungeons & Dragons did not have a monster manual or a monster manual 2. Think about them.
Shut up. Okay. So when we get into, let's start with editions.
Actually, that does make a good point. Basic Dungeons and Dragons even had 2 different creature catalogs. Now it's kind of a reprint with some new things added into the second one, but
still,
we can ignore that.
I mean, 1E had a Monster Manual 2 and a Fiend Folio.
Yep.
2E, Jesus Christ.
There's about 30 monster compendiums.
If you can list all of those without looking them up, I will send you free stickers. 3E had
3E had 5 monster manuals because the 5th one came out, I believe, in 2007, right before 4E came out.
Right.
And actually, the 5th one was very interesting, and this is going off on a side tangent thing, because it wasn't just like a simple list of monsters. Instead, it was like, here's a bunch of monsters. Here is some layers. Here's some adventuring ideas that you can do with these monsters. Maybe because they were running out of ideas for that 5th monster manual, but they also had a Fiend Folio. They had a couple of other kind of monster books thrown in there.
And we have 1 monster manual. We've got a shitload of other books, and they have monsters in them, but that's bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, and 4E has 3 monster manuals.
Yeah, so. I mean, just give me a book full of new monsters. And again, don't even bother working hard.
But
just
Chris,
go back and recycle.
Why only have one person at the table buy the book when everyone at the table could buy the book? Huh?
Or, you could share it on DnDBeyond, which would lead into our next topic on DnDBeyond.
Yeah, well, and that's, and also DnDBeyond's now why we know that it's released in May 17, which they released that information about a week before the bundle was going to be available. Which, is D&D Beyond not having a good relationship with WotC?
I don't feel like they are.
They said in mid-December, we're going to release something at the beginning of 2022. Well, technically, this is still the beginning of the year.
It is 2022.
That's kind of cutting it a little close. And also, a couple of years back, all of the, or a year or so, 2 years ago, time means nothing anymore.
Nope.
Where all of their, major people left. And it's just interesting.
Yeah. Where do they all end up?
They did as far as I know, they ended up in a variety of places. I think some might have even been hired by WotC, but I'm not 100% sure.
So
I didn't follow their careers that closely.
So then when WotC comes out with their own D&D Beyond, we shouldn't be surprised to see their names on there.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of people who think 50th edition, in edition 50th anniversary will be also including WotC's own virtual tabletop, which might spell the end for D&D Beyond, or like WotC's VTT will have exclusive license to like 5.5e nonsense, whereas D&D Beyond will only be 5e stuff.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. And I mean, D&D Beyond itself, the people who own it, they also started their own kind of version for Pathfinder 2e, which is Pathfinder Infinite, I think it is.
It is, yeah. I wasn't...
I mean, Paizo's nice enough to release all their rules for free because they don't feel like, how rich you are should determine how much game you get to play or how much of their rules you get to have. And so,
whatever.
Whereas 5e is like, oh, you got no money?
Money makes the world go round. But yeah, they're getting a little 2e ridiculous on, hey, let's just keep releasing books and see how many people are going to buy them. Now, they were doing it in 2e because they were going broke.
Yes.
But
no, they didn't realize they were going broke until like the end of 2e, and they're like, oh shit.
Yeah, when they looked in the warehouse and were like, holy fuck, we have 50,000 books of like the same thing.
Well, they didn't even look at their warehouse. So the way their money worked, you probably remember this because we heard about this at Gen Con 3 years back, where it's like they got paid for shipping books to a warehouse that another bookstore, I think it was like Borders, owned. And so they didn't even have to worry about selling their own books. They didn't get paid if the book sold. They got paid if they shipped the book there. And so they were just constantly sending huge shipments of books to Borders' warehouse, and they were getting paid for it, whereas Borders wasn't making any money. And then eventually Borders was like, yeah, you guys have to stop, and can you repay us for all the books you sent us?
No wonder Borders is out of business. Yeah. So, but now, I mean, well, Hasbro's understands that they're making money hand over fist. I think they're actually making more money than Magic now, which is...
I would leave that.
Yeah, it's going to be close. I mean, they're both... Magic's on the way down, and D&D's still on the way up. It's crazy. So, yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens to D&D Beyond in the future. Mm-hmm. I mean... Yeah, if they do their own virtual tabletop, the other one, the big one's Roll20, they'll survive.
Yeah, I mean,
because they do enough.
They would try to do their own thing for 4E, but I don't. But it was Dungeon Insider that did the 4E thing, and then they lost their license and they like shut down and stuff, and like they closed like 2014, 2015, like very very soon after 5E came out. And so,
but could you imagine how long that would take to load?
It's just so I guess. I mean, this is just another warning to people who buy digital. Like, you don't actually own this stuff. You're only getting a license. You're only paying a rental fee to access your stuff online. Yeah, it's if D&D Beyond goes away, there goes all your resources. Which would really suck if WotC does do like a virtual tabletop and they're like, yeah, D&D Beyond, you can have our SRD, but you can't do anything else. And then they like screwed over all their players. So I imagine if WotC comes out with their own virtual tabletop, like they'll have to do something where it's like, yeah, if you link your D&D Beyond account to us, then we'll give you like, like the books you already bought for like maybe only like 10% of the actual cost or for free or something like that, just to like entice people to come over.
Just buy them. For fuck's sake.
Just buy the physical books so you can throw them at your players.
I don't mean the books. I mean, buy D&D Beyond. It's pretty fucking simple. It's not like they don't have the money to do it. The infrastructure's already there. Just buy and be like, great, we don't have to worry about it anymore.
The code might be a complete mess.
Well, yeah.
Because every time WotC puts out something new, and WotC obviously doesn't talk to D&D Beyond, because D&D Beyond, like a year ago, is like, yeah, we're no longer doing UA stuff because it's ridiculous. We can't program that in there.
Well, they may have to provide a little support, but hey, you never know. Weirder things have happened. I mean, shit, Microsoft bought Blizzard 2 days ago. There's I do. You do not want to talk about it, but new Dungeons and Dragons movie is still, it's in production, but they're ending production.
Oh, I thought they had finished filming, and now release has been like pushed back to like 2024.
I don't think it's that far back.
Is it not? I thought it was like April 2024.
Look that up.
I'm about to.
But yes, so it's Chris Pine is the lead. I know Michelle Rodriguez is in it, and supposedly from what I've seen, what they've shown from the set pictures.
Oh, that's right. It's March 3rd, 2023. So it's I got this dates, but the most exciting part is it's released March 3rd, which happens to be someone's birthday. And so if it stays March 3rd, Chris, you and I'll buy you tickets and we'll go see it first day in theaters.
Oh God. I'll buy the tickets and the popcorn.
I don't like popcorn.
Twizzlers?
I don't like licorice.
Juju Beats.
Don't know what those are.
Small, weird, flavored, gummy
things. I'll just bring Swedish fish. I'll just bring a huge bag of Swedish fish.
I'll bring Swedish fish there.
But God, you can't afford their Swedish fish.
Yeah,
you can barely afford their popcorn.
I can't, but I'll get my allowance from my wife that week. So I'm
yes,
excited.
Sorry, Chris Pine. What's going on with him?
I don't know what. I mean, I guess what is he gonna be? Who the fuck knows? Like I said, Michelle Rodriguez has. They've released some pictures of her in costume. Looks pretty badass. Hugh Grant as the bad guy.
Yeah, I didn't realize Hugh Grant was the bad.
I am actually having these images of Jeremy Irons. I mean,
Well,
did they get a British actor?
Is like, I haven't seen a huge amount of Hugh Grant movies. I can only imagine he's just like mumbling his way through like his lines and being apologetic while being like this evil overlord. He's just like, yeah, sometimes I just feel bad sometimes.
Well,
stab.
He's
cast an evil spell.
He's gone. He's tried to go a little darker. He's tried to play like the badass guy, and what was that? I want to say it was, what's the guy that did the movie Snatch and the movie The Gentleman? I can't remember his name. Anyways, he's started doing more of like, less romantic comedy. He hasn't done a romantic comedy forever. I don't know. All I'm picturing doing is just channeling his inner Jeremy Irons and going so over the top that you have no way but not to love him.
I'm surprised they don't have like Joe Manganiello in this, because isn't he like huge and like he has like a relationship with at least Critical Role, who happens to have a relationship with WotC. So
dude, his character's canon in Avernus.
Exactly. So he has a relationship. I guess maybe he refuses to play anyone else except his character, Archon the Cruel.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Vin Diesel also talks about how he plays, which Joe Manganiello is like, I don't think he actually plays because I play with everyone in Hollywood and I've never played with Vin Diesel. So that bromance is dead, I guess. I don't know. So Vin Diesel could also join, which would be fun.
Yeah. What's her name, though? That there's the woman that's from Daredevil, that she's been doing it. I can't remember her name.
I don't watch superhero movies. I don't know what to tell you.
It's not it was the Netflix series.
I also don't watch the TV shows for superheroes.
The Daredevil is probably one of the best ones.
It's weird. I don't like superhero movies, but I do like superhero fantasies, like Dungeons and Dragons.
And then who was the other woman that's been around forever that I can't remember her name? She's been in a bunch of like TV shows, a couple of movies. I'll think of it later, I'm sure.
Are you talking about Deborah Ann Wool?
That's the lady from
Daredevil. She was also in True Blood, which my wife loved due to how campy it was. It took a little bit, but she was she also did some D&D WotC crossover stuff.
She did.
Yeah, she's I think she's also doing like Champions of the Realm or whatever that newest like PvP nonsense is.
No, I can see her face and I can't think of what her name is. She's been in, she's been in things like she was in like the Big Bang Theory. She does these little bit pieces in different things. Like she's a character. I think she was in Star Trek, The Next Generation. I mean, I can't think of her name.
Yeah. Well, I barely know the name Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel?
Damn
yeah.
it. I want to say Vincent Diesel.
Oh, boy. V Schmizzle?
Well, you look it up, because I'm out of ideas, and I've Googled.
Okay.
And Google's out of ideas.
Keep talking about something.
Well, if Hugh Grant eats every single scene like Jeremy Irons does, then the 2023 Dungeons & Dragons movie might be a contender for Best Dungeons & Dragons movie, but it's going to be real hard to beat Jeremy Irons.
What are we talking about today?
Well,
don't worry, I'll just scream it out when Felicia Day!
Oh, Felicia Day! She was also in Supernatural.
Yes, that was the other show I couldn't remember. How dare you can hit me later.
She got popular from doing the web series that she started up. I can't remember what it's called.
My dog agrees. Have fun cutting that out.
I do like Felicia Day. That'd be interesting to see. She's in charge of Geek and Sundry, so I wonder if she's too busy with that to do a movie role. I don't know if she's done much TV stuff, but also I don't watch TV.
Let's continue on to our main subject today.
Well, no, we still have to talk about Critical Role.
I don't want to talk about Critical Role.
I'll just go ahead and tell everyone the drama that's going on.
I don't mind Critical Role. It's just, anyways.
It's everywhere.
I am looking forward to what you're going to speak about.
The animated TV show for Critical Role, which was kickstarted, had a huge Kickstarter. They made like millions to fund it.
Largest Kickstarter ever.
Was it ever for like a TV show, or is it ever?
It was in some sort of classification. Yeah, I think there was one more there was like one or two that were bigger.
A smartwatch that never paid off, and everyone's still upset about it, probably.
Yeah. But yeah, it was insanely a lot. It was like 12, 14 million, something.
So they kickstarted this. It was huge. It was massive. It was millions of dollars. I asked my wife if she wanted to do it, and she's like, nah, everyone else is doing it. I'll just reap the rewards without the risk. But anyways, it got kickstarted, and then it got picked up by Amazon, who was like, yeah, if you do it on our shit, then we'll do a second season. We'll pay for it, all that fun stuff. You don't have to do another Kickstarter, which is great. Unfortunately, they also kind of promised to the people who supported them on Kickstarter, hey, you'll get to watch the first season. You'll own it. It's yours to have. And now it's locked behind Amazon Prime Video. And so now, if you Kickstarted it and you want to watch it, you have to join Amazon Prime in order to watch it. Now, you can do, to be fair, you can do a 30-day free trial. And if you start it 3 days, or no, it's like a day or two after it premieres, then you can watch all of the episodes so long as you watch those last 3 episodes on the day they release. And you can watch all of them within the 30 days for free.
Oh, are they doing the whole... They're not releasing it all at once?
No, it's over 4 weeks, and I think they're doing 3 episodes for each week. Which is, I mean, it's an interesting compromise based off of like 1 week per episode, or release all the episodes at once, but that doesn't really make anyone satisfied. So it's...
I like binging everything at once.
Well, but that's not what the TV companies want you to do. They want you to keep coming back.
Yeah. But who doesn't have Amazon Prime these days?
There's a lot of people, according to the Critical Role comment page. And also, like, not everyone wants to support Jeff Bezos, the weird vampire thing.
No, trust me. If I was ordering something for Christmas and I could get it anywhere but Amazon, I did not give a shit if I had to pay $4 shipping charges. I would rather do that than pay that fucking weird guy.
Yeah. So that's all the drama there. And like, I don't know that as of the recording of this in the morning, Critical Role has not really said anything in regards to that beyond letting people know it's an Amazon Prime free trial. And that's the only way you can watch it.
I want to say one of the actors tweeted saying, hey, just get 30-day free trial.
Well, that's what kind of launched all this, is like, the hell are you talking about? I kickstarted this. You guys promised we were gonna get to own like a copy of it all.
Yeah, we're not getting our DVD, and I have to then buy a DVD player because nobody has DVD players anymore.
Well, so that's all the fun stuff going on. So that's exciting.
Hooray
for that. So that's the latest news, at least as far as we're concerned, for Dungeons and Dragons and role playing game type stuff.
Yeah, we'll need to come up with a cool little like opening song for news.
I'll do the same thing that I did for the other noises you hear on this podcast, which I'll go into Mario Paint Composer and I'll make a song.
I take back my previous comment.
We're going to talk about our latest release, which is our deep dive on the Ranger class, which was expand from original Dungeons and Dragons all the way to 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. Did not show up in any of the basic editions as far as we could find. Nope. Though there were a couple of mentions. It's like, hey, there's other types of fighters. If you want to play them, check out Advanced Dungeons and Dragons for the Ranger.
Yeah, you know, if you want to use a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
The forgotten ranged weapons. I mean, seriously, that's one of the reasons I like this, was because it was use a bow and arrow. Everybody wants to get up close and hit shit. Oh, I don't. In my NRPF2 campaign, I have a tendency to run away, but I'm a wizard, so that's okay.
Yeah, you're supposed to run away. That's what you're there for.
Mm-hmm. Hey, at least I don't have a D4 hit die like they used to in, 1E. Could you imagine rolling a 2 and being like, yay, I could have rolled a 1. That's my hit points.
Yeah, well, I mean, and also, to be fair, though, like, all damage was basically just a D6, so, yeah, I mean, a 2 would maybe see you.
Yeah, but you didn't get cantrips.
Well, and also, there were no rules about what happens when you hit 0 hit points. And so some people are like, yeah, you just fall unconscious. Other people are like, you die.
Yeah, so what do you do when, like, you have to... So when it says you die for like 90% of your saving throws, whether it's a monster or poison or spell or boulder falling out of the sky, you die immediately. So now you know, at least they're clear on that. It's not you go to 0 hit points. I mean, that's what 5e says. You immediately go to 0 hit points. Nope, since we didn't say what 0 is, you die.
Really makes it easy when you're trying to get rid of some characters.
It does. Yeah, you don't like that person at your table. Sorry, you failed that saving throw. No, I don't have to tell you what you had to hit. It's right here on my screen, and I'm lying. So, Ranger.
Yes, not D4 hit dice. They have a D6 like every character did, unless you did the special alternate system, in which case they have a D8, like a fighter, like a real fighter.
Yeah, and it gets better as the editions go on. What is it? Is it 1E where you...
You get 2D8 at first level, which is very exciting.
Past that, you just get a regular D8. I mean, that's a blatant way to be like, okay, nobody really likes the Ranger. We want you to play it, so you have the possibility of 16 hit points, which is, what, 6 more than a fighter? Yeah,
because fighter said D10. But yeah, I think that brings in, like, as we were reading through this, I don't know if you noticed, but for me at least, like, I could definitely tell no one can agree throughout every edition of Dungeons and Dragons what a Ranger is supposed to be.
Nope. It's strange because they obviously love the character concept.
Yeah.
But they were like, it's gonna be Robin Hood. No, it's not.
It's Aragorn.
It's gonna be Aragorn. So he has a sword and not a bow. No, they just kept running through all these different concepts, and none of them agreed with each other. So whoever got to write that edition was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna pick this one.
Well, I'm gonna say something really brave, Chris, that might shock you.
Did you like the Ranger?
No, that's not brave. Well, I guess that is a brave choice to like the Ranger in 5e. But no, what I'm going to say is I think the Ranger should go back to being a subclass of fighter, and it should get spellcasting progression from the Druid spell list the same way that the Eldritch Knight gets spell progression from the Wizard. And so then a fighter can be any type of person, bow, swordy, stabby, whatever you want to be. It's great at that. And then when you do the subclass, you get the spells from a Druid, and then you're done. And then you don't have a Ranger class, and then if someone wants to play a different type of Ranger with no magic, great, they can just play a fighter, and they're done.
See, I thought you were going to go somewhere else, because I would actually have them be their own circle in Druid. I mean, there's no real...
It's a Druid fighter subclass.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, I mean, that could also work. So you go Druid, and then you take like a subclass with like fighter. Oh, no. So the same way that Eldritch Knight for the fighter has spells from Wizard, instead the Druid Ranger circle whatever nonsense would have martial archetypes from the Battlemaster fighter.
That's hey, I thought that's where you were going.
I mean, we could take both of those ideas and like run with it and piss off everyone else and their idea of what a Ranger is.
Well, I like the Ranger. I mean, I do. And I'm one of those people that has... To me, a Ranger is someone that has a longbow and shoots shit from really far away versus...
A coward.
No, he still has a sword, but I mean, after a while going pew-pew with magic missiles boring. You know, the only downside was, I mean, seriously, in 1E, you had to keep track of your arrows because the DM would just be like, oh, and that was me. And you're like, I'm sorry, how many arrows did you have left? Oh, 8. I'm like, no, I've been keeping track because Gygax told me to, so I did.
In fact, the last arrow you fired wasn't real, and unfortunately for cheating, your character died.
Yeah. The monster just looked down and was like, what are you doing? You're like plucking the bowstring. Nothing's happening. You're an idiot. He's now directly in front of you.
Right. So your idea of a Ranger is a longbow hiding in the back, away from danger.
Yeah, with a cloak and the hood on his head, and that's pretty much it.
So an edgelord Ranger, got it.
Yep. Oh, really? Aragorn's not a fucking edgelord?
You see, Aragorn's kind of like my idea of the Ranger, where, like, no spellcasting progression. He just has a sword and he fucks shit up.
Yeah. Oh, and he's a king.
Well, I mean, that helps. Well, he took, like, a prestige class or something in 3 and took king prestige class.
Oh, and elves like him. Isn't that important?
Yeah. So, like, I mean, well, and also it's like he can do stuff with, like, a herbalism kit. Like, you know, like he understands nature and things like that. That feels like a Ranger to me. And so, like, there's even a disconnect at this table.
So they basically took a fighter and a druid, smushed them together, and came up with a Ranger.
Yes.
And it's weird because, you know, and that's something we should have looked at. When did the druid become its own class, and when did the Ranger become its own class?
Well, we did.
I don't want to look back at the druid. It
hurts
me.
I think the druid was the same. Was also OD. I'm about to pull it up.
It hurts my soul.
Yep, came out in OD&D. It's a subclass of the cleric. It's probably the same time that the Ranger. Or no,
right? But when did they diverge and each become their own class? When were they no longer subclasses?
2E at the same time, I think.
See. At that point they were like, fuck, we need more classes.
Yeah, Druid came out in Greyhawk supplement in 1975, and the Ranger came out in the Strategic Review Volume 1, Number 2, in summer of 1975. I don't know when Greyhawk came out in 19...
Yeah, no, and it was... I get them as subclasses, but then as their own class in 2E, I don't know. I don't know. Should they revert back? I would think that a druid would be a good subclass of a cleric, and I could get along with the ranger being a subclass of the fighter. It makes sense. I mean, but that's not going to happen because shit. Look at spellcasters. Don't even get me started on the fucking sorcerer and warlock. Ugh.
Hey, I like the warlock. It's the most interesting way to build a character in D&D because it's more than just 3 decisions that you make at the start of the game and then it never changes.
Well, that's something else from we were talking earlier about the whole 6E thing coming out, getting rid of alignments, and they're talking now about having it being a fluctuating thing, which is important, but that's a whole nother issue. And let's go back to the Ranger because I could go off on a tangent on that and the Warlock for quite a while. So the Ranger.
Well, we have a general idea, like the Ranger. And if you haven't read it, basically what happens, the Ranger appears, no one agrees. There's like over 30 articles on Dragon Magazine providing different viewpoints of what the Ranger could be, alternate rules, different variant sets for the Ranger across the editions. And even 5th edition had the Ranger, and then we didn't talk about this in the article just because we only look at official sources. There's also UA Ranger that came out. There's alternate rules in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything that had different rules for the Ranger. Like, it has been a long slog for that poor class who has such a weird identity surrounding it.
Yeah, I like Rangers. I actually thought about playing one in our campaign now. I'm not. I'm playing a fucking wizard. All right. But still, there's a lot of hate dropped on the Ranger, and I understand why people don't like it, but is their dislike of it more of a confusion on what it's supposed to be? And therefore, they're scared of the unknown, so they hate it like everything else in the world.
Well, and like the mechanics don't line up with what your idea of a Ranger is.
Yeah, but you can... It's D&D. Talk to your DM. I'm sure they will if you are nice enough to the guy.
Maybe not.
I don't know.
Is there a preferred edition of the Ranger that you liked? Kind of like the concept of what they were doing with the mechanics the most?
Not really. 2E was good. 5E actually solves a lot of problems by simplifying it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the way 5e solves problems is just by hand waving it. It's like, you can never get lost. All right, now we don't have to worry about you're being good at exploration because you can never get lost.
What? They have 6 charts in 1E for tracking percentages? Nah, you just don't get lost. I'm like, okay.
You see, that's why you don't like it. It's because there's too many tables.
Not enough tables.
Not enough tables. Not even in the one Dragon magazine that had like 30 tables for all the different skills that a Ranger should have. And like you would roll a D100 and compare your level to like what
tables.
percentage.
Tables, that's why I like 1E. Tables are awesome. So yeah, I don't think the Ranger deserves the hate it gets. I understand why people are confused on what a Ranger should be, because I think D&D as a whole is confused on what a Ranger should be. But that's part of the beauty of the game. You make it what you want. I mean...
Well, I think another problem is, like, are they hunters? Like, people who go out, hunt animals, bring it back to, like, sell their pelts and stuff? Or are they defenders of nature and civilization from horrific beings that would try to corrupt it? And so there's, like, this dividing line between, are they more civilized focused or are they more nature focused? Because if they're more nature focused, then they're not going to be just, like, big game hunter kind of things, where a lot of people like that idea as well of the Ranger who goes out, sets traps to capture prey, sells pelts, kind of like the like late 1700s 1800s with like the fur trade up in Canada, like, so
Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, like Lewis and Clark, like, is that the type of Ranger where he's going out there and like mapping what would become like the rest of the continental United States? Like, what? There are so many ideas because Ranger as a term is so nebulous.
Yep. Or you could be the Lorax.
Or you could be a Lord. Well, I feel like that's a druid.
man, no. The Lorax.
The Lorax doesn't even have an axe,
Lorax.
despite his name.
The Lorax Ranger. Can I play one of those next?
Do you think the Witcher is a type of ranger? I mean, they kind of are loners. They travel kind of all over the place. They defeat monsters to protect society and civilization from them.
I always pictured them more as a warlock that's not really a warlock.
I mean, they are mutated. They have alchemical, herbalistic things that drugs they take, which is like a druid.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Druids are constantly taking drugs, as far as I know. Popping shrooms.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you going to do if you're wandering around the forest? Might as well. Interesting question. Wait, you've actually watched The Witcher?
I've watched season 1. I'm on season 2. I tried to play the games, but I hated the controls because I died from some weird things and I couldn't do anything about it.
Well, 3 is actually, they solved a lot of those issues.
You see, I want to play Witcher 1, 2, and 3 in that order, but I couldn't get past Witcher 1 because I hate the controls so much, so I never picked up the other 2.
I have 3. 3 is good. I don't know. Good question. By the way, Witcher 2 Season 2, I think is much, much better.
Well, it's in chronological order, which helps.
Which helps a lot. So,
I mean, it sounds like the Witcher might be a ranger.
Could be.
And so now you have another character is like, kind of a ranger, kind of not. Is this what some people think a ranger should be? But then other people will be like, no, it's Aragon and it's nothing else.
Well, and that's the thing, too.
Aragorn. Sorry, I keep saying Aragon.
Yeah.
Which is...
The dude from, like The Hobbit. I've got a lot of uhs today. Sorry, my mouth hurts. It's interesting because I'm guilty of doing that. In our very first campaign that we played with the group we've been playing now with for, God, a long time. 5 years?
Something like that.
A person who had never played before played a ranger.
Uh-huh.
And, I had just come back. I hadn't played since, the 90s.
You guys were so upset with him.
He played a ranger that never used a bow. Ever.
He had a rapier. He didn't need anything else.
Right. And that used to drive me insane because, and you know what? I'm wrong. Looking back at it, I was wrong. He wanted to play the ranger that way. Let him. I thought it was stupid. I was always angry at him. I'm like, why are you running up and dying all the time? You're not a tank. He thought he was a tank, and he was playing a ranger. He played the ranger he wanted.
He had D10 hit points. He was fine.
Yeah.
See, my problem was he went dex-based for the ranger with a rapier, whereas obviously Aragon is strength-based, and so he should have had a long sword.
Oh, boy. But who am I to say that he has to have a bow?
Chris, I think that's who you are.
Probably.
Old man who yells at sky.
I just like to think of myself as Robin Hood.
So yeah, I mean, we've had that disparity. Actually, I don't think we've had any other rangers in our group. And then I had a ranger in my Wednesday group that are in, and
did you kill him?
No, I did not.
Her.
But he kept changing all throughout the entire thing. So he started out with some swords, and then he got a longbow he used for a little bit. Then he got a sword staff that I homebrewed for him. And then he went to firearms because he wanted to do firearms. And so it's there's a wide variety of different kind of ranger things. For a little bit he was doing the Beastmaster where he had the bear, but then he didn't really like those type of rules, and so then he switched over to a different subclass and then switched over to Horizon Walker, which he stuck through for the rest of it. But then he started dipping into rogue, and then I think he took some nature cleric stuff. So it was a confusing mess of ranger to try and fill this idea of what the ranger could be.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of it. That's what D&D is. You can fuck around with it so much that you can really make it what you want.
And yet people get upset when I try to kill them. I mean, their characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in my case, both.
You guys worked so hard to build the perfect ranger, and then I just come along and meteor swarm.
We kill your monsters all the time.
That's true.
You don't try hard enough to protect them. You really don't. You just let them go out there and get killed.
There's a new monster I really want to try, and so if I could just let you kill these old ones, you get to try out against the new ones. And it's just a vicious cycle that keeps repeating, where I find new monsters I'm excited to play as, and then by the time you guys fight it, I find something else new to play with, and I want you guys to get there.
Don't worry, I'm onto your... it only took, 3 years, but I'm onto your evil ways. What you do is, after we do a deep dive, you wait a week or two, so that I've totally forgotten it, even though you know that all you have to do is wait about 4 minutes and I've already forgotten about stuff.
Like a fish.
And then you throw out this creature, and even if I could remember what it was, I probably wouldn't metagame. Maybe no. I'd make some rolls and be like, hey, what do I know about this thing that I already know? But at least I'd ask.
Well, good.
And then you throw it at us, and then halfway through, I'm like, you mother... we just did this.
I like deep dives. They give me so many new monsters to think about and throw into a campaign. Luckily, Chris, you probably don't have to worry about a ranger monster coming out of nowhere to kill you.
Oh no, it'll just be like there'll be like 3 rangers with swords and 4 behind them with bows, and we'll get killed by them. That'll be great.
And, well, they'll all act differently, and it'll be nice and unique. It's like, oh, this one's 2-weapon fighting, this one's a longsword, this one's a rapier, this one's a longbow, short bow, firearms.
Because we fought a manicore last week?
Yeah.
And it took me a little while. I'm like, oh, you
Manicore
jerk.
seem familiar. I wonder where we encountered those before.
I'm looking now. I'm just like, I really don't want to fight a Dracolich.
What about a fairy dragon?
I can deal with the fairy dragons. They don't actually want to eat you, unlike 90% of the monsters in the game. So, all right. What about you? Favorite edition for Ranger?
Well, I'm going to answer that in a different way, Chris.
All right. Do you like the Ranger?
You see, I don't even really like the druid that much, but I really like the idea of a druid, but I never really ever want to play a druid.
You don't want to just become a bear and be OP at second level?
See, shifting into an animal doesn't interest me in the least. I played a druid once. I did the wildfire druid, and all I did was just abuse my poor little like fire spirit I could summon using my wild shape stuff, and just be like, all right, you jump into that trap. I don't care about you. Oh, you got hit? You'll be fine.
So,
I'll make a new one.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Basically, you have what's his name from Howl's Moving Castle, and he's not trapped in the fireplace. Yeah.
I called him a fire mephit. It was great. Though I'm going to say my favorite Ranger is probably the 2nd edition Ranger. Not because the mechanics are great or anything like that, but because there is the complete Ranger's Handbook from 1993, which is just like 100+ pages of everything Ranger.
And none of it's new.
But also there's like 15 different Ranger kits, or just kind of like subclasses for them that you could get for the Ranger. So you could be like anything from let's see, there's Beastmaster, Explorer, Falconer, Feralin, Forest Runner, Giant Killer, Greenwood Ranger, Guardian, Justifer, Mountain Man, Pathfinder, Sea Ranger, Seeker, Stalker, and Warden.
I really thought you were going to delete that from the article when I wrote them all out. I'm like, there's so many of these. I'm writing them all out, and I'm like, that's getting cut for. And I was like, hey, it's in there.
No,
fuck.
What I cut was the 20 Dragon articles from 3E, where they were just arguing back and forth about what a Ranger should be.
Yeah, out of those, I'm like, so, okay, giant killers, you kill giants.
Yeah.
That goes back to 1E Ranger, because that was one of the things that they could do. That was their favorite, they have a favorite class. It wasn't called a favorite monster. It wasn't called that, but basically in the beginning, they just hated giants. And kobolds were giants. So
were elves and treants.
I know. So they just basically wanted to kill everything giant. So that plays back to them.
Yeah.
There's a couple other ones, a Greenwood Ranger, if you want to be part tree. Okay, I can kind of get behind that. It's Falconer, where I'm like...
You don't want a falcon?
I'm like, that's it. That you get a falcon. Okay, can I be friends with an animal and get a falcon anyways?
Well, you could also be feral, or one of the feralins, in which case you become a were creature.
Yeah, all of these I liked all of them except Falconer. I'm like, you get a falcon. Can't you get an animal anyways?
Yeah, but this is
I pick a falcon.
Yeah, but this is a falcon. Falcon cry. Falcon punch, Chris.
I mean, I even liked Sea Rangers more. I mean, a Ranger.
I wanted to play a Sea Ranger. I don't know to tell you. I read that. I was like, oh, I want to play a Sea Ranger.
I mean, so Ranger, first thing that comes to mind, forest, woods, mountains, running through them. Nope, I'm on a boat.
I'm on a boat. But actually, that's kind of fun, because every time I see Sea Rangers or sea whatever, I'm always like, that's interesting. I want to do that. Except in video games, I hate going in water sections. And tabletop role-playing games, I hate if I'm the player and I have to go into underwater sections. No, I'm not going underwater. I refuse to swim across this. Me and my character, we're going to walk our ass. I don't care if it takes an extra month of us traveling. And we're walking. We're not swimming across this little pond.
Do you not like swimming? Personally? Is there a phobia in there somewhere?
Well, I don't like beaches, but I blame that on the ocean being polluted with fish poop and very sandy.
Okay. Oh God. You're wrong.
No, I'm pretty sure the ocean is full of fish poop.
It's full of a lot of other stuff too.
Yeah,
known as
dead
water.
animals. Yeah, I agree.
That's fine. At least it cleans itself in like a stagnant pond where all the
Well,
dead fish poop just
I don't like
sits there.
ponds either because they have like gross, like slippery, muddy mucus for the bottom layer.
Amoebas.
You see, I don't like that either.
I grew up on the ocean, so I love the ocean. How the hell did I end up in Indiana? Where's the ocean? I look forward to going back and I don't even go in it anymore.
10 hours off towards the east.
Yeah, and by the way, anybody that tells me now that a Great Lake is just like the ocean should burn in hell because it's not. I don't care.
Wow, that's rude. At least throw them in the Great Lake so that they have something to douse the flames with.
Yeah, okay, good. So Sea Rangers, you like fish. Great. Yeah. Although, I'm flipping through this now, and I'm looking at the picture of the from Dragon Magazine, number 225.
Oh, the Shakir?
You
the
have
Shikari
a samurai
ranger? No, it's Indian ranger called a Shikari.
Then why is he dressed in samurai outfit?
That's semi-traditional. Samurai is a little bit more wooden. That has more metal components into it.
You're reaching here. In the background, someone's riding an elephant.
Yeah, they don't have elephants in Japan. That's in India. Yeah, uncultured swine.
I still don't think it works well. I still think it's. I see where you're coming. It's just ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous.
Yeah, it does look weird. I mean, just scroll down to the next picture where from the
riding
Complete
a wild
Ranger's
boar?
Handbook. Yeah, where there's a ranger. She looks very nice, like a princess, like a forest princess, and she's riding a massive boar into battle.
With is that a spear
it's a
that
spear.
wants to be?
It's like a lance spear.
A lance? Yeah. Okay.
See, so there's all sorts of ideas for what a ranger could be, Chris. You don't just have to be a longbow ranger.
Right, I didn't see this picture. There's a picture from Masters of the Wild in 2002 from WotC of a ranger in a city leaning over a dog. Except the dog looks great until you get to its head.
It's like a wolf coyote
photoshopped.
thing.
It's like they took this dog and photoshopped the head.
Well,
of
if you
the
zoom
dog.
in on the character portrait, if you look up, he has skulls for his shoulder pads, the side armors, and also to like hold like the cloak or something. He has like little skulls there.
I don't get it.
That's a different type of ranger, Chris. That ranger is called dangerous, and the type of person your mother told you not to hang out with.
Yeah, it's called like I'm the bum ranger, and
Well, that's the urban ranger. Those rangers live inside of cities. They don't go out into the forest where there's bugs and gross things. They stay in the city where there's rats and normal things like pollution.
I can get behind that ranger because nature is trying to kill me on a daily basis, but they're on the same level as Sea Ranger. I'm like, what?
Well, now I'm trying to think, like, who would make, like, a good, like, what is an urban ranger in, like, pop culture? Like, what character are we looking there? Is that, like, any street rat, like Aladdin? Would he be, like, an urban ranger, or is that still just rogue?
That's rogue. I think you'd have to go with some sort of pulpy TV police show where there's, a detective that is in the city. I don't know. It'd have to be a good guy. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I'm kind of blanking on ideas and like quickly Googling. I'm not really seeing anything. Weirdly enough, Ed, Edd and Eddy shows up, the cartoon.
Oh, God. Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess
you think rogue falls into most of those categories because you think skulking around.
I guess this
dark
is a
alleys.
rogue though with like a pet, like a dangerous house cat.
He can track you,
or like a giant rat, and so that would be like a rogue with a giant rat as a friend.
So actually, if you're a Sea Ranger, you could actually have could you give him a familiar, and you could finally have a use for the seahorse or quipper. I mean, seriously, what are you going to do with a seahorse as your familiar? Carry it around in a bowl, and then you get a giant, throw it at him?
You get a giant seahorse.
Didn't do what?
Well, it wraps its little tail around your enemy's throats and like suffocates them, or like nose at them and beats the shit out of them like a dolphin does.
How often are you underwater? Well, you never, because you're walking around.
Well, I'm scared.
So
if I'm the GM, I'm fine with water because I know what's under the waves.
And the quipper is my favorite one. Just little mini piranha thing that's like, nah, 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 and you're just holding it in your hand. You pluck it out of the bowl and throw it at something and run away. I mean, I don't get it. Anyways.
Well, you load it into a crossbow and you just like shoot it out. He's loaded.
My biggest problem with the Rangers always been spellcasting ability.
Okay. Well,
that's why
this is your problem with everything is that they can cast spells.
They can. This is
why you hate wizards.
This is why I would make them a... Well, yeah. No, I like wizards. Why I'd make them a subclass of the druid. If you want to give them a spellcasting ability, make them a part of a druid. But, well, fighters don't get spells. Well, at least until 5e or 4e.
3 had spellcasting fighters.
Yeah.
Technically, paladins were a subclass of fighter in OD&D 1e.
Yeah, but that's holy magic.
And 2e, and so they have
It's
spells.
different when God does it. It's... Oh, I'm looking around for lightning to strike me.
It's not going to happen. I'll protect you.
Today. So that's what the thing that's always bugged me. And I wish, and I get why they don't do it, but if I was going to revamp the Ranger and say that Ranger is going to be its own class, we're not going to make it a subclass of Fighter or Druid, which I both think have legitimate claims to the Ranger, then, and this goes down the rabbit hole, you give them some other ability. They have a herbalist kit that they can use as a badass and some sort of ability that ties into nature. Now, yeah, then the Sea Ranger's out the door. So's the Urban Ranger. Tough shit. But
no, then you just make a rogue with like a druid subclass.
Yeah, exactly. Or you just play Arcane Trickster. Have spells and not worry about it.
Yeah, just play an Arcane Trickster and ask your DM if instead of using wizard spells, you get access to the druid spells, which I think is a perfectly valid thing that you could do.
Yeah. So I just don't like them having spells. I don't think as part of the fighter subclass and then it being its own class, it makes no sense to me. It just doesn't. I'm like, why? Where are they getting their spells from? Aren't they practicing archery all the time or poking things with their rapier?
It's their deep connection to the nature.
Yeah, then you're a fucking druid.
There's no pleasing you, Chris.
I don't know. It's just always seemed weird to me. That seemed like a throw in. They were like, shit, we got to get somebody to play this class. Okay, spells.
Yeah. Well, and then like as the editions continue, we make a joke of this on the deep dive where it's like, yeah, they just keep getting access to like higher and higher level spells. So like originally it's up to 2nd level, then it's 3rd, then it's 4th, and now 5th edition brings them up to 5th edition spells. So if we just wait until like 10E for D&D, they're going to have 9th level spells.
Well, we don't have to wait that long because maybe they will call it E50 and then we skip 46 levels and they'll be set.
Oh, and then they'll have like 15th level spells while the wizard still only has 9th level spells.
Yeah, pretty much.
Perfect.
Pretty much.
Well, I don't know if you've gotten a chance to like read through the Pathfinder 2e Ranger and how they set it up. So the way they have it set up is
again just figured out how to play a wizard.
You could do 2-weapon fighting. You can do you can go ahead and get an animal companion if you want to focus on that. You could just do like 1 weapon. You could do range type stuff. And if you want spells, then you can take specific feats that give you access not to like spell slots, but to what Pathfinder has are focus spells, which you can cast for free, but then you have to take 10 minutes and regain that ability to cast it. So it's kind of like a free resource for the day, except it requires you to spend some downtime to regain it. So they're like once per encounter style spells, or like once per encounter powers that were available in 4th edition. It's kind of like how the Warlock gets back their spells on a short rest. And so like does like that limited magic make you feel better about the Ranger having magic?
Again, I think magic's the wrong thing to give them. What do you... I don't know. I mean, you can't really give them... I mean, you give them an animal, but I mean...
Well, then that's just the druid, right?
Right.
A really bad druid.
It's like, okay, you have a cooler familiar or you're a druid. It's like,
Well, actually, in this edition, the druid doesn't even get like a beastmaster thing. Nope. Like there is like one thing where you can summon a beast to hang out with you, but then they leave within a couple of hours.
Yeah, they're just like, this was fun.
Which means druids just can't keep nature friends. Like all the nature friends are just like, yeah, he's fine for a little bit, but I don't want to be with him like 24/7. He's a little weird about nature.
Yeah, I don't...
Whereas the ranger gets a companion forever until they die.
He's into nature just a bit too much. I don't know how to solve the problem.
I think what people have to get ready for is no matter what happens with the ranger, not everyone's going to be happy with it. And it's going to be up to the designer and what they think a ranger is going to be. And that's the only people who are going to be happy. The designer's the only one that's happy with the ranger because they're the one that's designed it. Now, we do have the issue where the ranger is rather underpowered and In fact, 3E had this issue. We didn't get into it to the article for Page Space. But when 3rd edition was first released, we had a player's handbook in 2000.
Page face or page space?
To save on page... Well, it's
space.
Save on wordage on the website. You leave me alone. The wife already makes fun of me because I can't speak good.
You got the pretty words, dude. Come on.
I'm trying. But anyways, so 3rd edition Ranger came out in 2000 in the player's handbook. And the people called it the designers were like, this is overpowered. And so when 3.5 edition came out, it got nerfed out of it. And so there's like a huge backlash about that. And so it's like, again, it's like no one can agree how powerful the Ranger should be, what the Ranger should look like, what should the Ranger even do? Should we force everyone to use a longbow if you play a Ranger?
You come out of the womb, you're a Ranger, you have a longbow.
Yeah.
And it's strange too, because there's no hate for some of these other classes that are, I mean, go back to the Warlock. Again, personal preference is not, that you can build so incredibly overpowered classes from the Warlock just, by dipping into Sorcerer or,
Or you go Paladin with a dip into Hexblade Warlock, and now you get to use Charisma for all your damage.
Yeah, I mean, the Coffee Lock is literally the most OP build, in
opinion.
my opinion.
People keep saying that, but it's really not if you just pay attention to the rules.
Yeah, well,
it just
that's
means
what
you get
happens.
to avoid taking long rests, which is like whoop-de-doo. The elves get to take a long rest for 4 hours and then they're done. You know, big deal.
There's all this. I mean, there's so many other things to be annoyed about. I think in the game that like the Ranger just gets like it heaped upon the class over and over again, and it's been going on forever.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned like people don't have a problem with the Warlock, and I think that's just because how the Warlock is set up, where you get to kind of build your own Warlock. If they did that for every class, people would be a lot happier, because then you could build the Ranger how you wanted it to look for it, in which that might include like you have a Ranger subclass for Martial, you have a Ranger subclass for Magic, and then you have a Ranger subclass for an animal, and then you get that subclass, and now the same way that like the Warlock has like Tome or the Pact of the Tome, Tact of the Blade, Pact of the Teddy Bear, or whatever it's called, Pact of the Chain.
Yep.
Like you get that, and then you also get some other additional goodies that you can add onto the Ranger. And that's kind of a very weak point of 5e, is that once you pick something, you're locked into that. And there's no way for you to differentiate yourself from someone else. There's no way to like customize your character without talking to a DM and being like, I really want to switch things up here. You are like, once you become a Gloomstalker Ranger, you are a Gloomstalker Ranger. Mm-hmm. And sure, you can get some feats. Maybe you're slightly different. Maybe you take the chef feat because you're a cook, but like you're not that different from every other Gloomstalker Ranger out there. Whereas a Warlock, you have a wide variety of Eldritch Invocations, and so you get to kind of mix and match. And while, yes, your Warlock is kind of similar to other things, there might be a couple of other Warlocks that look close to you. Like, there is wider differentiation, and so everyone's happy with their Warlock because they got to pick what their Warlock was, whereas the Ranger is, you're this and you can't do anything else.
Well, the 5e does that for most everything.
It does.
They looked at 3 and 3.5 and they went, oh, never again. And so then, they said, we'll create Pathfinder. A bunch of people are like, we'll do that. And that is your Pathfinder speaking, by the way, about being able to custom create your stuff. And they do a great job at that. Also, I really like the idea of what you were saying for Ranger and, doing it that way, martial, ranged, animal, which was a little weird. But I get what you're saying. I feel like you should do that and submit it. See what happens.
I'm too lazy for that. I'm way too busy. I mean,
really busy with what? I'll take on something. What do you need me to do?
You can write all my. No, I'm not gonna let you do that.
See, there's the crux of the problem.
You could edit the audio. No, I'm not gonna let you edit the audio.
You could. Nope. I'm too much of a control freak to let you do anything.
Tell you what, you can clean my apartment for me while I work on the Ranger.
No, because then you'll be sitting there yelling at me that I'm not doing it right. So forget it. And it'll be cleaner than it's ever been clean in your entire life. But anyways, I'm a 50s housewife in my own home. Leave me alone.
Well, so I think what we come to the end of it, all of this is never expect to like the Ranger ever. And if you happen to like the Ranger in one edition, it's never going to happen again, so don't get comfortable.
I like the Ranger. I would play a Ranger. I just wouldn't set my expectations very high.
Well, story time. If this hasn't all been story time. I played a Ranger. His name was Joof. He was a gnome. He had a little squirrel companion thing.
Of course.
I didn't yet get to 3rd level because at the end of 2nd level, my entire party abandoned me to some hobgoblins who then killed me and ate me.
Really? They abandoned the gnome ranger with a squirrel companion named Joof? Can't imagine why. And I've seen you play your characters.
We were playing through Tales of the Yawning Portal, Citadel of the Sunless.
Yep, Citadel of the Sunless. Yeah,
Keep or whatever, or Sunless Keep of the something.
Sunless Citadel Keep Land thing.
One of those variations on those words.
Mm-hmm.
And so like we were in a room and like we were all like, all right, we'll just ambush them here. And they're like, I was like, oh shit, because this is Adventures League. It's like everyone else was playing spellcasters. I was the only marshal. I was like, you guys are gonna back me up, right? And they're like, yeah, we'll be there for you. You just hold them off. And so it's just like me getting like slammed by like 5 different hobgoblins, and then they're just like one turn later, they're like, bye, we're gonna go.
Like, these magic missiles do nothing. Run.
I'm surrounded by hobgoblins, and they're just like, you're fine.
It probably had nothing to do with how you play your characters, and they're so over the top annoying sometimes.
Joof was wonderful. He talked to rats. He kept rats from eating us.
Oh god.
So yeah,
for another time.
That was my brief experience for 2 levels as a ranger.
Oh, I got to spend an entire campaign playing with a ranger that never once touched a longbow.
I think he touched it once, and then he hissed back in fury and pain, like a vampire that touches a sunbeam.
Probably. But he did. We had to put sticky notes on his computer for him to remember to use
he
Hunter's
had so
Mark.
many sticky notes.
Well, he'd never played before, but we'll see. Hunter's Mark. What else?
Horizon Walkers. It was.
God. There were so many things that he could do, but he'd have to put the notes on there to remember to do them. Then you'd be like, you did it in the wrong order.
Yeah, well, he also had like round 1 notes and then round 2. It was great. Thank you for joining me today, Chris. I hope you learned a little bit more about life. I don't know. About the Ranger.
I'm not any dumber than when I came into the room, so I consider it a success.
Well, we'll work on that.
Gotcha. I'll just go upstairs and, I don't know, do something.
Before we let you guys go, make sure you guys, join, visit Dumpstat often. We love having you on the website, dumpstatadventures.com. If you have ideas for future deep dives, please let Chris or I know.
Mm-hmm.
Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/stat_dump.
You got it right.
I did it. We also have a YouTube. This podcast will also be on a YouTube, so make sure you follow us on YouTube. And join us on our Patreon at patreon.com/dumpstat.
Yeah, because I'd like to keep doing this and not get yelled at for not having a job.
Oh, perfect. And yeah, if you support us at any of the tiers, you get access to monsters every other week. You get access to printer-friendly documents that in Homebrew that we make on our website.
Mm-hmm.
And then at higher tiers, you get more stuff. So like our $5 tiers also get access to our Homebrew Horde, which has...
Jeez, it's 500 things in there now.
Yeah, it's and like there's over 300 monsters that I've made that are in there. A lot of magic items. And
yeah, I made the
all
magic
of our
items,
rules.
so it glosses over those.
And everything's in like nice little folders for you to access. But
yeah. Speaking of which, one last thing. Doing the Patreon thing made me think of it. The one-shot coming up for our Patreon one-shot coming up this month is my absolute favorite homebrew adventure ever.
Oh, Wild Sheep Chase by
yes,
it's by Winghorn
Winghorn Press.
Yes, that's it. I'll leave a link. He's done a lot of really cool stuff. I've run a couple of his one shots just to like start off adventures because it's like, well, they don't know what they want to do. I'm bringing in some new people. I'll go ahead and run through.
Yeah, he does great like get acclimated to the game kind of things. Mm-hmm. But by far, this is my favorite one. I might actually see if there's one to play because it's enjoyable. Yeah, it's full already. Who's in there? Bob.
You don't know them, but it's me.
Yeah. No, but that should be a great one. I'm looking forward to that one. So, all right. Well, Steven, say goodbye.